In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my dear students? I hope you all are enjoying your good health and your studies according to the virtual learning system of Pakistan International School, TAIF. I'm your teacher, Miss Shazia, and this is your science class. You are on chapter number 2, Transport in Humans and Plants. Today, we will start the topic about the transportation in plants. Dear students, as you have seen in the previous topic, transportation system in human beings, that is the circulatory system. But actually, plants do not have that circulatory system. So what to do? Because plants are also living organisms, so it needs also some water and food to grow. For that, the plants has to move water and food from its places to the other parts of the body. So how do plants transport materials? Plants transport water and minerals from roots to leaves through xylem vessels. Just recall it in your mind. Then which type of tissues which you have studied in grade 6 are used for transportation purpose in the plants? Definitely you will answer me that xylem vessels are used to transport water in the plants from roots to the leaves. Phloem transports prepared food from leaves to all other parts. Phloem. It transports what? Prepared food. So where the food is prepared? Definitely in the leaves. So plants transport prepared food from leaf to the other parts of the plant and in all directions. The very major step in transportation is the absorption of water in plants through the roots. How does it happen? The water enters the plant body through its roots. If you see in this diagram, so water enters the plant body through its roots, you see. So there are 1,000 of tiny root hairs on each root. You see these are the roots, but in the next pictures we will see what are root hairs actually. So root hairs are very small extensions on the root. On every root there are lots of root hairs present. And these root hairs are very thin. That is a very thin layer they are having, so that water can be easily absorbed through these root hair into the roots. So the soil surrounding the water has higher amount of water. In the soil, water is much amount and minerals than inside the root cells. If you see this diagram, these are the cells of this root, and you see here these are root here, and you see in a enlarged view of this picture, so you see that this root here is arising from this root, and this is a very thin layer. And this is soil, and water is present. This blue is water, so water and air is present in the soil. So specifically water is absorbed through these root hairs. Why? because outside in the soil, water concentration is very high as compared to the root hairs or the cells of the root. With this water, some mineral salts are also absorbed by this root hair. So this absorption is done by the process that is called diffusion. You see, diffusion. What is diffusion? That is the new term for you. So diffusion means the movement of a substance from where it is in large amount to where it is in small amount. Most of the time, what happens, water always moves from its higher level to its lower level. If you see in the floods, it moves from higher to lower surface, as well as if it is in more quantity outside in the soil. So in the cells of root hair, water is in less quantity, so water will move from outside to inside, from higher amount to the lower amount. This is called the process diffusion, and this is very much important process. You will study this in chemistry and biology in the next classes as well. So as water in roots increases, a pressure is produced in the root cells to push water and minerals up in the plant. But this pressure of the roots can only lift water up to a certain height. But how does water reach in leaves of tall trees? So what happened when the concentration means the amount of water is lower in the cells and higher in the soil, so water move from soil into the root hairs, and through root hairs it moves into these cells of root. So what happened, this develops a pressure here because now more amount is absorbed here by the cells. So this pressure just can rise, can raise up to a certain level, and just water can rise up to a certain level. For example, this is a very long tree. You can see this one also. So from here, when the water absorbs, it cannot reach more higher in very tall trees. So how does water transport it to the in the tallest trees, in the tall trees which are having too much height, because here the water pressure is not too much that it can rise up to high level. So what happens next? So you see, to make the concept of diffusion more clear, you can see this diagram. Look, this example of these are the molecules, or these are, you can say that these are the water molecules, and they are more here. It means here its amount is higher and its concentration is higher, and they are going from its higher level to its lower amount level. Here there are very less, so water will move from one place to another. Like that, you can see the higher concentration of water molecules here. Here is a membrane or cell membrane or a layer through which it has to move, where on the other side where there is very less amount of water, so water will move automatically from its higher level to its lower amount level. So this is the process of diffusion. Like here is the soil where the water molecules are higher, so they move in the cell through this membrane, and where the water concentration already low. Okay, so we were talking about that. How does it happen that in taller trees, the water can be transported from a very lower level, that is from the roots up to the high altitudes? So it happens through this process that is called a transpiration. Very important term in we can see the plants study. Whenever we study this, transpiration is also studied over there, because this is very much important phenomena regarding absorption of water in the plants. So in tall trees, water is pulled up through xylem when it is evaporated from the leaves. If you see in this diagram, these are the leaves, and the leaves are having small pores, small openings. These openings are called stomata. You have studied all these things in grade 6. These stomata are the holes which are more at the back side of the leaf here, but very less on the upper side. So this is the back side of the leaf, underside of the leaf. So what happened through stomata? What happened? Water evaporate. The small openings on the underside of the leaves are called stomata. So water evaporates from here. When water evaporates from here, so what happened? Water gets lower in plants. You see, water vapors lost from leaf pores in transpiration. So this is called transpiration when the water moves out of the leaves through their openings. So what happened? When the water evaporates here, water concentration gets lower here, and as well as the water molecules which are present on the upper side, they pull the lower water upside. So like that, these water droplets move through diffusion into the roots. So if we see what is written in your paragraph, so we'll see here, once in the xylem pipes, water forms unbroken columns from the roots through stem into the leaves. The loss of water by evaporation, actually this is the definition of transpiration. The loss of water by evaporation from plants is called transpiration. From stomata, from openings of the leaves, water gets evaporated, comes out of these leaves. These are called evaporation, and this process is called transpiration in plants. So as water transpires, more water is drawn into the xylem. When the water moves out of the leaves, so what happened? From lower, from the roots, more water comes into the xylem. This movement of water exerts a pull on water within the xylem. As water moves out of the leaves, as water moves out of the leaves, more water moves up from the stream. Roots absorb more water from the surrounding soil to maintain the water column in stem and leaves. So actually what happened, this is the transpiration process. What happened in that, I've told you before, when the water evaporates from here, so it means in the leaf and in the stem water concentration gets lower, so these water molecules move into the xylem here, which is present into the roots, then stem, and then into the leaves, and then they uh, if water molecules are having forces of attraction between them, like for example, this is one molecule, it will attract the other water molecule, it will attract the other water molecule. So it is having the force of attraction. When this water molecule moves forward, the lower one also moves with that water forward, upward, and from here the next water molecule will move with the next, so they will move upward in upward direction. When they move upward direction, so water will move from here, from the outside of the soil into the roots, and then it makes the columns, or it makes the string, like counter on which just we read our tasbih of subhanallah, alhamdulillah, we are having just beads like counter. So that becomes like that because they are having strong forces of attraction. So they pull the water molecules from down to upward, uh, upward into the leaves and then out of these stomata. You can take the example of this in like when you suck juice or water through straw. That is a very similar example to that. When you suck means water is coming out from, um, for example, this is a straw and water is like water is coming out from here into your mouth. How it is coming out? Because you are sucking from here. So water molecules which are present here, when they move forward, so the water molecules which are at the back, they are having forces of attraction towards this molecule. So then this water molecule are having the forces of attraction towards this molecule. So when they are pulled forward, so these water molecules also move forward, and then you can finish your glass of milk, juice, water, whatever you are having. Okay. In transportation of water and food in the plants, we are having the second topic of that, transportation of food in the plants. When transportation of the food in the plant is done, that process is called translocation. Translocation. It means plants prepare food in their leaves. What are the food factories of the plants? Yes, they are leaves. So when leaves prepare the food is not only stored somewhere, but it is also transported and then stored somewhere. Like um, when you cook the food in some pots, so you have to definitely transfer to the other pots to just uh, eat it. Or you are having mouth and you are having your food pipe through which the food reaches to your stomach. Likewise, from the leaves, food is transported and stored somewhere else in the plant, not in the leaves only. So we will see here uh, mm, the process of translocation. Actually, the prepared food is carried by which type of tissues? Yes, phloem tissues to all parts of plants. Xylem carries water from roots to stems and upper parts, but phloem carries food to every part of the plant. The movement of a prepared food from leaves to those parts of the plant body where it is needed, it is called translocation. Location means the place where they are transported, the place or the organ of the plant. How is solid food transported from one part of the plant to another? This is actually the main problem here because water is in the liquid form, so it can move from uh, uh, anywhere easily. But food is present in solid form. What do you mean by solid form? Did you study photosynthesis in grade 6? Yes. So in photosynthesis, what happened? Leaves, with the help of sunlight and green chlorophyll, they as well as carbon dioxide and water, they produce their food. What is that food? That is called, that is called what? Yes, you guess the name? Glucose. Yes, that is glucose. And glucose is having formula, just recall it, C6H12 and O6. This is the formula of glucose. So, what happened? When the glucose is formed, it is in a solid form, so it has to be transferred from the leaves to other parts as well, because other parts of the plants, sometimes like roots, sometimes like these type of fruits which do not have green color, so they cannot prepare their own food, so they need food to grow. So there is a hypothesis or mechanism which is given by the scientist to explain the translocation process, that is called pressure flow hypothesis. Hypothesis means like a concept, a mechanism which is developed by the scientist. Pressure flow, that the food is moved, or they are having a flow according to the pressure built up in the phloem vessel. What type of pressure we will see here? We can explain the movement of solid food phloem, through the phloem by pressure flow hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, water from nearby xylem enters the phloem and mixes with the food, forming a solution. For example, when you eat solid food and if it is too hard, even you chew, it cannot be swallowed into and cannot be passed through your food pipe into your stomach, and you need some water, isn't it? So likewise, because this is solid food and it cannot be transported from this is phloem and this is xylem. So what happened in the leaves when the food is prepared? So what happened? Uh, this this we can say this is this line is called a midrib of the leaf. So here the xylem and phloem are present. So when the food from the leaf come into the phloem, so what happened, because xylem is side by side with the phloem, so from the xylem water is absorbed into the phloem through the process which we have discussed before, that is called diffusion. Because here food is present but less water quantity is present, so here the water is less, so in the xylem water is higher, so water moves automatically from xylem to phloem side by side. Even the water is moving through the roots, from the roots to the from and into the xylem towards the leaves. So likewise, water is absorbed into the phloem where the food is present. Food molecules are present. So food is present in the form of glucose. But what happened next? And by the addition of water, this solid is mixed with water, so it becomes a solution. As you know that water is what? Solvent, and it is a solute here. So food is solute, so it becomes a solution, and this solution flows under pressure through the phloem. Now the pressure in the phloem, it is raised. So by rising this pressure presses the food downward and to the required part. This is turnip, and like from the leaves, food is stored here. This is underground. So you know, the like potatoes, like carrot, radish, they are present under the ground and they are roots actually. So this food is absorbed in the root and that gets swollen and we eat that stored food. This pressure is carried by the difference in amounts of water in phloem and nearby xylem. So the pressure is created uh, d- by the difference in amounts of water in the phloem as well as in the xylem, because in the phloem the water pressure is low and here it is higher. So just by the movement of water, and now when the solution is formed, the pressure becomes higher and the food moves to different organs of the leaf. So if you see pressure flow hypothesis here, so you will see this one, pressure flow hypothesis. If you see, this one is phloem and this one is xylem. Transpiration stem means xylem, and this is pressure flow. The pressure is continuously flowing downward, and the food is stored in any type of vegetable, in the form vegetable or fruits as well, and leaves as well, because we eat some leaves also, like lettuce, like coriander, mint, etc. As well as if you see transport of water and food in the plants, to if you see from down from the roots, the water is sucked up into the leaves, and this line which you see this in the center, this one, this is called midrib of the plant. Midrib means it is the rib which is present in the center, and the sides are called veins, like we are having spreaded veins in our body to flow the blood. So likewise, so you see xylem is in the center, the water is flowing here, and phloem is at the side, so water can move from xylem into the phloem for translocation. So if you see pressure flow mechanism here also, so that it must be clear to you, here are root hairs which absorb the water. From the root hair, water is absorbed in the columns, you see in the columns, and these columns make the force of attraction, and now the water is reaches from the root into the stem, you see here the stem, and in the stem water moves in the columns and it is going upward, and now the water reaches into the leaves, and from the xylem it comes out of the stomata, and you see that is actually the process of transpiration as well. You see these are the water molecules which make the column, and forces of attraction, these forces of attraction are called cohesion and adhesion forces. If you see the process here also, so you see we'll start from here at roots and soil. So water is absorbed through roots and it moves to the leaves and upper parts, because xylem tissues carries water and dissolved minerals up from the roots. If we see this process, so when it reaches into the leaves, so because leaves are preparing food, so it has to move upward as well as downwards, and this downward movement, upward movement, that is done, that is called translocation, and this is called transpiration. So phloem carries a food up from leaf, and now here the evaporation or transpiration is done because water is coming out of the leaf. Okay, dear student, this is our the same topic, but um, if you see, this one is related to the previous topic. We have to see the structure of plant parts. So, first we see structure of roots. If we see structure of roots, you see from the moment a seed grows, its roots starts to search water minerals in the soil. Root have branches that play important role in the absorption of water. Definitely we have discussed about them. This is the internal structure of root, and these are root hair. The root hair on the roots absorb water and minerals from the soil. Roots have xylem tissues to move water and minerals from the soil through the stem, leaves, and phloem tissues uh, from the root, and the roots help to transport food. If you see this one, the blue is xylem and the red one is phloem, and these are root hair. Water moves from here and reaches to xylem and phloem, and it moves upward. Structure of stem. Many plants such as mustard, it is a plant of which we eat its leaves, as well as it produces seeds, and its seeds are used to just make mustard oil. Maybe in social studies you have studied about this mustard oil, and we use it for cooking and some other beauty purposes as well. That is called in Urdu sarson. Have a waxy layer cuticle around the stem to reduce water loss. In the leaf, here upside, we are having very thin shining cuticle. Cuticle means a layer of some chemicals which is very shiny, and it is waxy means the water cannot enter from here or comes out from here. So it is waterproof. Bark also reduces water loss in plants. Phloem tissues in the stem transport food made in the leaves. Xylem tissues carries water from the roots to the leaves. Bark is like, for example, this is a tree trunk, and outside of the old trees we are having a very hard skin layer which sheds every year, that removes out every year. This hard skin, that is called bark, and this bark does not allow the water to transpire. As well as you see here xylem and phloem. This is called midrib. This central line is called midrib, and all these are called veins, which moves around the leaves, and they spread in the leaves, and they are having xylem and phloem to distribute the water and food. Um, Okay, we have talked about here also about the about the leaves of the plants as well, which I have told you right now, that in the leaves we are having this structure, and in the stems of this one we are having the bark to reduce the transpiration, and here we are having cuticle to reduce the transpiration as well. We are having midrib and veins, which spreads water and food to every part of the plant body. So there is a point to ponder. Like many stomata are present in lower surface of each leaf, there are almost 200 stomata on the area. If we just put a pin head on the leaf, so under this head we are having almost 200 stomata, which helps in transpiration as well as absorption of oxygen, carbon dioxide to do photosynthesis. So dear students, you can see here internal structure of stem. So when we cut the stem, we can see the cross section. Look, we are having phloem and xylem side by side. So that helps for the translocation. And if you see internal structure of the roots, so again, we are having, this is phloem and this is xylem and phloem side by side to carry out the process of translocation and transpiration. If you see the leaf structure, you can see here is a cuticle, and which is shiny. Look at this, and it does not allow transpiration. And this is upper epidermis, lower epidermis. As you remember, this diagram we have studied in grade 6, as well as we are having these green cells. These are called palisade mesophyll and spongy mesophyll, because it is having space like sponge inside it. That's why it is called spongy mesophyll cells. Meso means center, so because they are present in the center, they are green in color. Okay, why they are green in color? Because they are having chloroplast and chlorophyll. So that chlorophyll helps to do photosynthesis. And if you see this one, this is midrib, and this is a vein of the leaf, like this one midrib, and this is vein. So you can see here vascular bundle. Vascular bundle is also called xylem and phloem. So this yellow one is a phloem, if you see this one, and this blue one is xylem, which transports the food material. Okay, dear students, that's it for today. Inshallah, we will see, and we will study the next chapter, inshallah, in the next lecture. By this, we have completed our chapter number 2, and I hope you understood and enjoyed it. Thank you. Wish you all the best.